Some parties are meant to be remembered, but not like this. What was supposed to be a quiet night of laughter, old stories, and sisterly love in a countryside house became the spark that burned an entire town's reputation to the ground. By the end, marriages were destroyed, a wedding was cancelled, and the name of their hometown would never be spoken the same way again. This is the night Ashford learned that secrets never stay buried, especially when they're caught on camera. The night that broke Ashford. Claire hadn't smiled like that in years. Ever since her younger sister Hannah announced her engagement, Claire had thrown herself into the role of maid of honor, with almost obsessive dedication. The two had always been close enough to share whispered secrets late at night as children, close enough to read each other's thoughts with just a glance. Despite the 7 years between them, they had weathered childhood together, creating memories full of laughter, mischief, and unspoken loyalty. Hannah's wedding felt like more than just an event. It was a chance for Claire to relive that bond, to make one more unforgettable chapter before her sister's life changed forever. She took charge of everything. The bridal shower, the invitations, even the desserts for the reception. But what thrilled her most was the bachelorette party. The idea came up one evening during a family dinner. Hannah mentioned she didn't want anything over the top. No cheap games, no loud clubs, no endless alcohol-fueled chaos. She wanted something meaningful, intimate. Claire had the perfect suggestion. Their family's countryside retreat, a secluded home surrounded by fields and old oak trees, where they had spent countless weekends growing up. The plan was simple. Just one night with her closest friends, 2000s playlists, old stories, and the kind of laughter that echoed deep into the night. Hannah's face lit up. It was exactly what she wanted. Claire immediately dove into planning, organizing sleeping arrangements, preparing light snacks, ordering personalized keepsakes made from old photos, even scrubbing the porch until it gleamed. Childhood friends confirmed they would be there. Cousins promised not to miss it. Everyone carried a different story about Hannah in their hearts. It was going to be a reunion steeped in nostalgia and love. But while Claire's enthusiasm grew, her husband, Mark, wasn't convinced. The moment she mentioned the location being far out of town, his brow furrowed. "Who's going? And why so far?" he asked. "Are you sure it's just women?" She laughed, brushing off his questions. "It's not that kind of party, Mark. You worry too much." But Mark wasn't just being paranoid. He had seen things spiral before. Past innocent nights with friends had crossed lines, and he'd felt blindsided more than once. Still, Claire reassured him. She promised there would be no surprises, no boundary pushing. Mark hesitated but chose to trust her. In the days leading up to the trip, she moved through the house with a kind of nervous excitement, packing boxes, arranging music playlists, and organizing gift bags. Mark noticed the way she seemed almost more invested in this than she had been in their own wedding anniversary the month before. The night before she left, she hugged him and promised to be back the next day. He smiled faintly, but something in his eyes stayed guarded. By late afternoon the next day, 10 women piled into 2 cars, laughing, posing for selfies in matching t-shirts, buzzing with anticipation. Hannah leaned into the passenger seat of Claire's car and said, "This is going to be one of the best nights of my life." Neither of them could have known that by the next week, Hannah's wedding would be cancelled, Claire's marriage would be over, and their entire town would be drowning in scandal. The women returned from the countryside retreat late the next morning. They looked tired but cheerful, exchanging photos in a group chat created just for the party. Claire came home to find Mark in the kitchen making coffee. He asked casually how it went. "Just like we planned, girl talk, snacks, music." "It was nice," she said, hugging him from behind. He studied her face but saw no flicker of guilt. Still, an unease he couldn't name gnawed at him. 3 days later, Mark was at work when his phone buzzed. A message from his friend Eric, whose wife Sophie had also gone to the party, flashed across the screen. "We need to talk. You're not going to like this." Attached was a video link. Mark's pulse quickened as he clicked. The clip began innocently enough. Laughter, music, the glow of string lights across the country house living room. But then the camera panned and his stomach dropped. Hannah was in the center of the room, dancing with a shirtless man. And there, just a few feet away, was Claire, drink in hand, laughing as she pulled another man toward the hallway. The caption read, "So much for a girls' only night." Mark froze. He replayed the footage, zoomed in, rewound, and studied every detail. There was no denying it. Eric's next message made it worse. "That's just one clip. There are more. And people are naming names." The hours that followed blurred into a haze of disbelief and rage. By the time Mark drove home, the betrayal had hollowed him out. Claire was in the kitchen when he walked in, scrolling through her phone. She looked up and smiled. Without a word, Mark placed his phone on the counter and pressed play. Her expression shifted instantly. First shock, then something like shame. She opened her mouth, but Mark raised a hand. "I saw everything," he said, voice low but hard. "You didn't just cross a line. You set fire to everything we had." She reached out, but he stepped back. "Get out," he said coldly. "You can come back for your things later. Tonight you leave with what you're wearing." She tried pleading, blaming the alcohol, insisting it meant nothing. But the damage was already carved deep. Minutes later she walked out into the night, murmuring a final useless, "I never meant to hurt you." Mark didn't respond. By morning, the town of Ashford was buzzing. The videos had spread like wildfire. Group chats, Facebook posts, whispered exchanges in grocery store aisles. The names of the women involved were matched to faces within hours. Husbands packed bags, children asked uncomfortable questions, and neighbors crossed the street to avoid eye contact. Eric filed for separation from Sophie the same day. Another husband left a note reading only, "You ended this." Within a week, Ashford wasn't just Ashford anymore. It was that Bachelorette party town. Businesses lost customers, parents switched schools, and someone spray-painted the town's welcome sign with a crude nickname no one bothered to clean. Claire's father, once respected as a pillar of the community, released a video insisting his daughters had been raised with values. His voice cracked as he admitted, "I don't know who they are anymore." But the shame stuck. Claire couldn't find work without someone smirking at her name. Hannah deleted all her social media and considered moving overseas. The final blow came when Mark filed for divorce. At the courthouse, he walked past her without a glance, signed the papers, and left without a word. It was only then, staring at her name on that official document, that Claire understood. Some betrayals echo forever, and no apology can reach across the emptiness they leave behind. As for Hannah's wedding, cancelled. In one night, years of trust, love, and respect were turned to ash. A marriage gone. A wedding erased. A family name dragged through every street in town. And in the silence that followed, only one truth remained. You can't drink away your choices, and you can't hide from the eyes that saw them. Some scandals fade. But others, they etch themselves into the very walls of a place, a wound that never heals. Ashford will never forget the night of the Bachelorette party.